Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I picked up something recently at my local thrift store that I'm pretty excited about. It's a real hit or miss whether you find something good or not. But I think I found a good one here last week. So what we're going to work on is this Yeti ASR SL. Now, from what I can tell, this is a 2006 model. So if you look here, you'll see they had this bike priced for $39.99, but it was a discount day at the thrift store, and I got it for a little bit over $20 with tax. My hope is that for maybe around $100 total, I can have this bike back on the trail and riding great. I bet I can. So if that's something that interests you, stick around for this whole video. We'll go through the bike and then I'll get it out on the trail and we'll see how it rides. And I'm really excited about this because it has some really nice components on it. When this came out, it was obviously a real high-end bike. So 19 years ago, the Fox Fork, the Float 100, I'm assuming the 100 refers to the amount of travel that this has, probably 100 millimeters. It is an Easton aluminum frame all the way across. It's got progressive fifth element rear shock. So being a progressive shock, that's a nice unit there. We have Shimano XTR components throughout, from the cranks to the shifters to the brakes. So everything there is XTR, and you know how good that is. The bar controls here are like nothing I've ever seen. These are XTR as well, but the levers and the entire brake move like this, and then you shift by pushing the lever up or down, a little bit like a road bike kind of system. So very odd, but same thing for the front. You know, you've got you shift back and forth with the lever, and then you got your brake. Original Yeti seat. I think I just need to clean it and definitely tighten it up. The bike came with this little tiny mini pump on it. This is a pro bike tool. Let's hang this up on the scale just for the heck of it, and we'll see what it weighs. So with the bike up here, we're showing 26.6 pounds, which is on the light side. That's pretty awesome for a full suspension. One thing that's very cool about these bikes is that they're made here in my hometown of Golden, Colorado. Going through what I know that I'm going to have to work on, neither of the brakes have any brake pressure at all. So over the years, however long this has sat, we're either low on brake fluid. I don't see any signs of leaks, but I'm going to have to flush and bleed the systems. Fox forks here, do a thorough cleaning, greasing, and put in some fresh fluid in those. I really like the wheel set on this bike. I've got the Cross Max, which are known for being super rigid, super light wheels. They use the straight pull hub like that, and they are the bladed spokes. So a really nice set of wheels on this, and they both seem to spin true, and I don't see any flat spots when I spin them. So everything looks really good there. I'll go ahead and, of course, check bearings, check spoke tensions and all that, and do some truing if I need to. But as of right now, the wheels look real nice. I think it's just a general cleanup on those. Coming back to the cassette, no broken teeth. Everything looks perfectly fine. It'll just be a cleanup on that. Now the rear derailleur's got some issues. It is not springing back the way it should be. There should be spring tension here. So this pivot point here is definitely gummed up, and that will need to be cleaned really well. Hopefully the spring in there is okay. If not, I'll have to replace that. Also the chain wheels here are just gone. They're wasted. So there's hardly any teeth left on those at all. So new chain wheels for sure. But the derailleur itself doesn't have play side to side, and it hasn't been hit by rocks or anything. So I think we're probably in good shape once I clean up a few small issues with that. First thing to do is just start stripping components off the bike here, put them on the table, and checking them over. There we go. We got quite a bit of water in the bottom bracket here. Now it's time just to pull all of the cables out of their keepers and get them out of the way, away from the frame here. That way we can lube the cables themselves, work the housings up and down the cables, and make sure that everything's moving easily. This next step I normally wouldn't do. I'd leave everything hooked up and just bleed the brakes, but I don't know if I got chunky brake fluid in here or what, because it's got no brakes whatsoever, nothing working at all. So I'm gonna go ahead and flush the entire system, which includes flushing the lines here. I'll go ahead and do the exact same thing with the front brakes. Just break everything open, let it all drain, and start with fresh. It's got one of those funny wedge style. So what you do is you unscrew this, not all the way, but most of the way up, so the head's exposed like that, and then you hit that with a mallet and it'll release the wedge that's down in here, and your fork will drop out. But you can get it to release right there. Okay, feels pretty light all in all. The Fox stuff was always light, even from the very beginning, so this older stuff is a lot lighter than even some of the modern forks you'll find by other brands. Nice. I'm going to start with a little penetrating oil on everything and see if I can get it loosened up and get my rear triangle off of here. This frame feels incredibly light. Let's see what it actually weighs here. So we're at 4.4 pounds for the frame. That's not bad. I feel a lot of grit in that bearing. Same with this, honestly. So I think I'm going to go ahead and replace both those bearings just for the heck of it. Most of the parts that I ordered for this bike, I ordered through Amazon. Just because the prices are good and I get them real quick. So most of them came in over the last week. I'm still missing a couple of things. But let me show you what I got done yesterday. I had a few hours to work on it and got quite a ways with this bike. So I ended up finding a rebuild kit for these forks, which included the dust caps and new seals for the inside, for about $22, something like that. And I went ahead and just bought that. Went through the whole fork. Cleaned everything really well, put in new fluid, and it's working very nicely. So far so good on that. Stanchions and all that look really great on this. They show no signs of wear, and I of course have the nicks in the lowers, as you would expect from a bike that's been ridden in Colorado. It's very rocky here, but they're in real nice shape. So real happy with the way the forks came out. Those are great. I went ahead and just polished the entire frame while I had it completely stripped down, and went ahead and put a couple of coats of paste wax on it as well. So the paint came out real nice on this. Replaced these bearings, and I went ahead and did that. I also replaced one bearing in the rear hub. Everything else was just cleaned, greased, and put back together. I went ahead and left the shock alone, didn't break it open, do anything. I did go ahead and put in brake pads on this. Got a new set there. As you can see, I do not have the brake lines hooked up yet. I'm waiting for the O-rings to come in for those so that they'll seal up a little better. I think that may have been where the brake leak was before and why there wasn't fluid in the systems. The rear derailleur ended up being in real nice shape, but I did put on new wheels here. As you can see, I used the alloy ones with the sealed bearings. There was a fair amount of water in the bottom bracket when I opened that up. So I got everything, the entire frame dried out. It sat for several days, dried out, and then I cleaned and re-greased everything in the bottom bracket. And seems to be in good shape. So we're going to go ahead and just put a new chain on here. I've got that over here. So here are our old chain wheels, the old chain, the bottom bearings there, and we're going to put on a new Shimano chain. So while I'm here, I'll just show you this, where I'm at. Paid $21 for the bike. Bearings were $18. That's for the 3 bearings. Fork seals were $23. Brake pads, derailleur, wheels, and the chain. So right now we're at $122 for the bike. And I want to show you something that I often do with these bikes when I'm working on them, restoring them, whatever. It just keeps the cost way down. And that is, I often find one component that is worth a little bit of money. Like, people really like these Yeti seats. They got titanium rails, and they're just a nice seat. But these are in demand online, and I actually already have a buyer for this one. I listed it, and somebody came back right away, wants to buy it, so I need to box it up and ship it off. But I got $100 for this seat. And so what I did was grab one of my other specialized seats that I have here. I kind of like these seats. They're pretty comfortable for me. And I put that on here. It has the kind of the same look as the stock seat with the fabric on the side and all that. But that $100 that I will be getting for this original seat will essentially fund the whole bike here. So I'll really only be into this probably $25. The wheels cleaned up nicely, and as you can see from the nubs and all that still on this tire, both of these tires are essentially new. Somebody at some point put new tires on the bike and then never rode it. So that's a nice bonus there. They're still nice and soft. I actually rolled this out of the store with 2 flats. There was no air in either tire, but for a week now, these have held air and everything feels okay. So these are currently not tubeless. If I was going to take anything apart here, if they didn't already have new tires, I'd have bought some tubeless tires for them and gone tubeless. Right now they are running tubes, and I'll run that until I wear these out. But I can drop a little bit of weight and add a little puncture resistance to these wheels by going tubeless. The levers all cleaned up nicely. I took the covers off and cleaned all the crud out of them. They were a little muddy underneath. Got everything lubricated, and everything's shifting nicely now. So we should be in good shape for me to actually try these. So far, I'm kind of liking them. We'll see. It's an interesting feel, but the concept is pretty cool. I think it may work for me. Every bike that I ever work on and all is actually worth more in parts than it is together. Like this bike together right now, here in Colorado at the moment, would sell for $450, something like that. But all the components for it that are on it, and the frame and wheels and everything like that, probably total closer to $800 or $900. So all of these bikes are worth more in pieces than they are together, which is a sad fact. But if you want to start a business where you just pick up rather inexpensive bikes, but with high-end components on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace or whatever you use, there is a business there. I did that for many, many years with motorcycles, where they were all worth more in pieces than they were together. And I parted bikes for many, many years and made a fair amount of money doing that. I really love bringing old machines back to life. This was a bike that somebody had given up on, gave it to the thrift store, and it's going to be an awesome bike for me. There's just something that's kind of satisfying about bringing old machines back to life. And this one's going to be really nice. It was a high-end bike in this time. It's still a better bike than I am a rider, I guarantee you that. So I'm not going to outride this bike. It's going to do really well for me. For every couple of $100 I save on working on a bike like this and getting it back into shape. That's a couple of $100 that I have to go spend on a bike packing trip or to spend a weekend out mountain biking or whatever. It covers my other costs, and there's just, like I said before, there's just something very satisfying about bringing old machines back to life. You know, I call this an old machine, but it's actually very advanced. It's a great bike. Okay, I'm heading out on the Yeti for the first ride. It should be pretty well in tune. We'll see. Usually there's a few little adjustments I need to make on the way.
When I play the blues, feels like I'm coming home. When I play the blues, feels like I'm coming. I move around as my G3 cold, and I don't feel so alone. Don't shut me out in the cold, 'cause I might fall apart. I need my trouble blood for the healing of my heart.
The Yeti's doing awesome. Really nice bike. So this bike was probably about $3,500 new. That was back in 2006, so that was a chunk of money. Definitely a top-end bike at the time, and still does really well. I love these older bikes because you can pick them up cheap. They're still excellent value, excellent quality, and it just makes a lot of sense to do kind of a resto on something like this versus just dropping a whole lot of money on a new bike. Let's take this back down the hill. That'll be a lot of fun. These are real nice cross-country bikes. We'll see how it does there. really nice ride. So this is an awesome bike. I've got hardly any money into this at this point. And the new bikes, as many of you know, these things cost what, $10,000 now? It's absolutely insane what bike manufacturers charge now for high-end bikes. Really crazy. So there's no way in hell that I would ever pay that kind of money for any bicycle when I can get something like this and have a really nice riding bike. The reason I make these kind of videos is to point out that you don't need to spend a whole lot of money to have a really nice bike that you can go out and ride and have fun with. If you're not familiar with my channel, I pretty much cover anything with handlebars. That's why my channel is called Life Behind Bars. My project's coming up here. I picked up this Norco fat tire bike that I'm going to be using for my backcountry backpacking bike. So we're going to do a build on this. I picked this up extremely cheap on Facebook Marketplace. So hardly any money into it at this point. I've also collected quite a bit of parts and all that, and I'll show you how I do this really inexpensively with this video so that you can put together a really nice backpacking bike, high quality, for very little money. I picked up this e-bike off of Facebook Marketplace, and the teenager that was riding it said that it just died on him. Well, I got it back home, and it was exactly what I thought it probably was, which is a very easy fix. I'll show you what I look for when I shop for used e-bikes to repair. And if you're interested in doing an e-bike restoration for something to ride, or if you're interested in doing it as a business, there's money to be made there for sure, especially if you live close to a large urban area like I do, just outside of Denver. I can pick these things up left and right for very little money. So those are coming up. If you're interested in seeing any of those, please tune into my channel. If you look in the description below, you'll see my website as well. You can go scroll through all my videos there. I've got things on bicycles, lots on e-bikes, lots of motorcycles. Pretty much anything with handlebars will be in there. So look through, see if you see something interesting, and always, if you subscribe, you'll get notifications for my new videos that come out. So that's it for today. Thanks everybody for watching. More projects coming up, and I will see you on those.